All right, we good.
We
Hi, how
good.
are you?
We good,
This is
gang.
this is Omar. I feel stoked. That's my white word for the day. I am the co-host of the great man of the love child of Charles Manson, uh, Whick himself. And it's a show that we're trying. This is our third week. I hope it works out. Me with my speech impairment and stuff, and Wick with his wisdom. Welcome to the show. How are you? What's your name? B. What is it? B
Icebeans.
Bean. Icebeam. All right. Hi. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. We're gonna have a conversation. Good.
Yeah,
You got your.
it should be interesting. I'm excited to be here. I don't know if I'm the love child of anyone. I think I spawned from an egg, right? Like I was grown in the vats, if you will,
Okay.
of science and all these things. I am a figment of everyone's collective imaginations. All these things are possible. I don't know if they're true. Welcome to the show. Icebeans is our guest today, as Omar wisely pointed out.
Yeah.
Icebeans, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just got off work. I'm really glad. I'm glad you invited me on this. I've heard a little bit of Omar speaking. I don't think I called in before, but I did have some contentions with some of his views.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get around to those. I'm sure.
Yeah, this is something that I've seen you in chat during our streams, right? And I see you yelling at the screen, right, in all caps
Yeah.
sometimes. And so I was like, you know what, Icebeans, if you're gonna talk shit, you might as well talk shit to our face.
Bring it on.
Yesterday, you were pretty mad at me too, if I remember correctly. Why don't we start there?
Yeah. Well, okay, you are actually gonna have to give me a minute to remember what I was going to yell at you about. It did have something to do with your drug legalization panel, but so we might have to loop back around on that one.
Well, here, how about this then? If we can't remember what you're here for, let's start from the beginning. Icebeans, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is the Icebeans? Like, why did you start streaming? What are you into? Etc. What drew you to this space?
Sure. So I'm Icebeans, ice_beans on Twitch. I am regularly streaming now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. EST. And I'm planning on adding a weekend stream at some point. I mostly do, I would say, variety stuff. I am a sad react Andrea. But I also talk about politics. I do some digital art. I like chatting with chatters. I am a heme orbiter. That's how I kind of bust in on the Twitch politics space. Just basically, I orbited heme until I don't know, fucking got my own orbit. But yeah, I just realized
who are your orbiters?
Who are my orbiters?
Yeah, you said you have your own orbit, so who are your orbiters?
I'm going to go ahead and claim Kai Cenat. If he starts taking off, that'll be me. That'll be one of Icebeans' orbiters. Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
There's one. But yeah, I mostly like calling in and yelling at my favorite streamers. So that's what I do with him. That's what I do with you, apparently. I just like having chill conversations. Well, chill.
So we're like, if you don't mind me asking, right? I know a little bit about your background. Like, you are originally from where again?
Go ahead. Where am I from?
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Omar knew that one. Holy shit.
Well, we talked a little bit about you before the show.
Before he came in. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's cheating.
Why is it cheating?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Why is that cheating? What did you?
I was listening to you. I went to your Twitch channel. I was watching you. You're talking to a bird. What is it? A bird or something like that?
A bird? Mm. I do have a bird on my channel.
No, the person you're talking to is like the avatar he's using, or the YouTube he's using.
Oh, I do have like I do have this guy that I'm planning on making part of my stream.
Yeah.
But that's just like a side project. um, but yeah, like I mean, I do digital art. That's what I've been working on animating stuff. Planning on bringing as much integration to my chat as I can, and just
Yeah.
make my chat a chill place to hang out with. But yes, I am from Sri Lanka. I did not grow up in Sri Lanka though. I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
And I was there for about 18 years.
wow.
And then we moved to the US, yeah.
Well, Saudi Arabia is not a good place to be. Too much racism over there, especially if you're an expat. You're an expat,
Yeah,
right?
so right. Yeah, I mean it really depends, right? Like there are a lot of
Yeah.
there is racism, yes.
They're a piece of shit.
It
They're all the way.
it kind of depends on who you are though, Omar. If you're like a white collar worker, if you're like a Sri Lankan, even if you're Sri Lankan, right? If you're a white collar worker, then you'll be just fine. That's kind of what my parents were.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, they were expatriates or whatever you want to call them. They were basically immigrants.
That's
But
what they call them, expat. Even the Yemenis, they suffer a lot over there because they have to pay this guy a monthly.
Oh, is that me?
Huh? Hello? Yeah.
Oh, did my Discord freeze or was that you?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not
Not
sure.
on my
Anyway,
end.
carry on.
So,
Yeah.
so this is Omar. What's going on? What did you didn't like about me? My views are probably on women, right?
Yeah, pretty much,
Well,
yes.
well,
Can you be
I think,
specific?
prove me wrong. I mean, what I'm saying that's wrong.
Okay, I guess it's not necessarily what you're saying that's wrong. It's just
Yeah.
that your framework for some of the things that you say seem to be very grounded in it's like, you know, your basically your culture, right? Or your religion. And I feel like, or both, right? And I feel like it's not necessarily something that you can't really integrate that with today, like the way that we women
But
today.
do you think men and women are equal? They're not equal.
Do you think they're not equal?
No, I mean they're equal in rights and voting rights and things of that nature, civil rights. But physically, mentally, they're not equal. Men are more stronger. They won war. They fight and they die. They are physically strong in sports, everything. Women are weak-minded, very emotional creatures. You
How do
understand?
you respond to the weak-minded allegations, Icebean?
Like I don't. I guess that's the problem. Is like I think that we have there's a bedrock of understanding that I don't know if I would be able to penetrate. You know what I mean? Because if you have like a foundational belief that like
Well, do you think
women
you would
are
be able to
weak,
penetrate it if you were stronger, like a man?
if I had the proper tools, maybe.
But do you think men and women are equal? Can you prove me? I mean, and what? I mean, how equal? They can't be. They're two different
Well,
animals. They're two different animals.
yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that one of them is better than the other.
What I'm saying that physically, men are stronger. Uh, they are smarter. They are able to endure physical pain. What happened in Ukraine when the war started? All the women ran to Poland. Where the men ran to the front lines, right?
Okay, hold on. If you just get me a strong man, right? And put it against like a woman who is weak, then yeah, you could say that man is stronger than that woman. But I could probably find you women who are strong.
What do you
Right?
mean? In what
Or
way?
women who do like hard labor, or women who are
Yeah,
firefighters, and women who can like lift
no,
way more than a man can. So
those
I
are
don't understand why like you generalize this and say in general women are weaker for that reason.
well. I mean, even those people, women that are hired in the fight, they probably, they just as a token of trying to look like, oh, equal opportunity. Look, we are open. We got women in our fight department, but they're not going to be able to handle. They can't even handle that suit. You know how heavy it is. I can't even wear that suit that they wear.
I mean, I can't
Omar.
either, but there are
Yeah.
firefighters who are women, though, aren't there?
They
women
absolutely are. So
women are,
Armor, just real quick, Omar.
yeah.
You do know that in Ukraine there are women fighting as well. Right. You know that not
No,
all the
the
women
majority of
ran.
men.
There are
When
women
the,
who are fighting in Ukraine right now. There are a
no,
lot of
no,
women who stayed in Ukraine to help in
yeah,
other
but
ways, right?
in the
They are
they are
still
helping, yeah,
they
yeah.
are
But in the
still
beginning,
they are still contributing in a way that helps the war effort in
yeah,
Ukraine
yeah. But
specifically. But
food, making food, getting
not
uniforms, getting stuff. But in the beginning of the war, what happened? The president of Ukraine said the women and children could leave, but anybody over the age of, I think it was 18 or 15 cannot leave. They used to bring them right back. Where you going? Go
yeah,
back over there and fight like a
that
man.
is something that happened, but that was a choice made by the government. It wasn't a natural thing. Does that make sense?
By the way, my views are not Wick's views, so I don't want you guys to get them in trouble.
Oh, I'm always in trouble. Don't worry about getting me in
Okay.
trouble, right?
You know,
Okay, like I think the thing though is that it like the reason I can't speak for this Ukraine stuff, even if I accept, okay, that most of the women evacuated and most of the men stayed behind to fight, right?
yeah.
That's the way that they have prioritized. That's the way that they have prioritized it in Ukraine. Okay, I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
I'm not disputing that. The
One
way
more
that
thing.
they. Oops. So yeah, go ahead.
What happened when the ship goes down? All the men, all the women and children first. You all get to get the hell out of that ship while the men sing and dance, and they go down with the ship in the middle of the ocean.
Okay, yeah, but
Men,
that's how we've been raised to
because
do
you're
it,
not equal. You are the
right?
creatures. Because you know why they do that? Because you have to conceive the next generation. Women could only give birth once. Men, you understand what I'm trying to say here? To get that point is
Okay, so hold on. If there were no men, how are women going to give birth exactly?
no, but women. The reason that women don't go to the front line or society offers them to get killed in war because women are the foundation for bearing children for the next generation. Because a woman can not only give birth once a year, one man could integrate a whole village in one day. You understand? So that's the reason. But women are not equal in strength. Women are emotional being. For example, when a man meets a woman, what does a woman? The woman looks at the future. Is he successful? How is that future going to look bright? What does a man look for? He's not looking for what you're making. Is she ho ho ho? She doesn't have a bad past. You understand? She wasn't going to clubbing. She was not only fan model. We look
Okay.
we look at the past and you look at the future. That's how when we meet, you looking. Let's say we meet and you're looking at. It says, Omar, is he successful? Am I able to be succeed in his life? If we get married, is he good? Is he a good provider? While I'm looking at you, I'm saying, huh? I wonder how her past is. Was she decent?
Okay,
She's
but
a bad girl?
that's indicative of your views on women, though. That doesn't mean that like women are weak. Like, how does that? Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Also,
If he
hold
wrestled
on.
with Wick, who
Let
would
me.
win?
Let me.
Yeah.
Okay, look. Just because on average women can be weaker than men physically,
All the
that does
time.
not mean that women are weaker, like in an ideological sense. It doesn't mean that they are to be subjugated. Do you
Oh,
understand that?
no, I'm not saying that. You see, you're misunderstanding me.
But that's what you are
Well,
saying,
I'm
though.
saying that a woman should be able to be a good wife, give birth to children, raise the next generation, and become the woman behind the scene for her husband to succeed, and he'll be able to protect her, bring her security financially, and all she has to do is just raise the kids. We need kids to be raised. I don't want you to compete with me in the job market. What do I need you there for? I want you to raise the kids home. What, are you going to leave the kids for 8 hours a day, five
Okay,
days a week?
Omar, if a
Huh?
woman wants to be in the workforce, should they be stopped from being in the
Well, I mean, this is their decision, but for a man like
Again,
me,
that's the thing. It's their
yeah,
decision. And when it comes to how we
hold
govern,
on,
how we set up
I didn't finish.
society, how we set up laws, I'm with Icebeans on this one. We have to let people make their decisions. So
I,
regardless of whether someone is suited for the job or not. Because I know
oh,
a lot of streamers who aren't suited for the job and yet stream they do. And it's
like
their
me.
decision. It's not my choice, right? It's not
Yeah,
my place to tell them whether or not they can or cannot. And
uh,
neither should it be our place to tell an entire segment, 50%, half the population, what they can and cannot engage in, and the activities they can and
Whick,
cannot engage in.
Whick, I'm not saying they can't work. It's a decision to go to work, but they're not going to be able to get a high value man. They're going to get, the children will not be raised right. I'm looking at it at the point of how men and women were made. We are animals in the sense of part of the animal kingdom. If a man and a woman are struggling in the work market while the children are being raised by Google and Netflix, then you have a lost generation after generation. She could go to work, but I'm not going to marry her. You understand?
I mean, okay, I think this is what I mean when I say that, like, you have a fundamental view that women are weaker than men, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to essentially disabuse you of that notion, right? Like, I don't think that I can break through this, like, apparently 6 foot thick, like, a concrete block in your brain, right? So my thing is, in America today, right? If you're a couple, right, or if you're a family, there's usually on average, both parents have to work. You do understand this, right? Like, you can't survive on just one income unless that person earns so fucking much that they can, like, 6 figures, and even then, raising kids is fucking expensive, right? So I'm just gonna go at it from this angle, right? How are you going to justify getting the woman to stay at home and raise the babies, as it were?
I'm going to pause a little bit. What I'm saying is that since the now, what is it, the National Organization of Women started in the 70s, men were able to provide for a whole family. You had a house, you had a wife at home, you had a car outside.
Sure.
Hold on,
okay.
hold on.
That was during our parents' time, though. I'm talking now.
I'm going to give you what happened. You were able to send your kids to college. What corporate America did is they brought the woman out of the house, put pants on her, and told her that she's equal to a man. And then she came out, she was competing with the same job that the man had, and they saturated the income. So now all we're doing is we're both working for the same income. If the woman had stayed home, that whole income would be a man's income. You understand? If you look at the wages, they've been stagnant since the 1980s. You understand?
So, okay, so what's your solution, Omar? Are you saying, like, make all the women go back home?
No, the money, but I wish they
good baby makers again.
I wish they will do. It's good for society. People will have more babies. We're in decline. People are not making babies no more because they don't have time.
It's fucking expensive, my dude. Have you seen the price of diapers? Holy shit, dude.
Because,
what the fuck?
Okay, because
people can't afford babies. People can't afford houses. You want people to have babies? They can't afford houses.
That's what I'm saying. Because corporate America has saturated the job market. If you stayed home, the man would be making double the wages.
Okay, so what is your solution? Go ahead.
Instead of the man making 80,000, he'd be making 120,000 if women did not go into the workforce and compete against men.
So go ahead. Are you saying, what's your point? What's your solution?
I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Because I see women actors. Sometimes they don't have no babies because they're selfish. They go after their career and forget to bear children. The woman has a small window to make babies. After 35, it's all over. You understand? So sometimes they just wait
come back,
too long.
Bring it around to your solution, friend. Because I'm not hearing it.
My solution is that we should start to rebuild society. Bring the patriarch, bring the man in the front, make bring the man to his to be a strong leader in the house instead of a feminine, weak, unproviding piece of shit that he is right now.
And what about the women who are already in the workforce? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's okay. They could stay there, but they have to decide.
Can stay. They can stay.
I mean, legally, I can't say nothing, but the whole idea is not governmental issue. If I was meet you and we had an attraction, I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm going to say, listen, I can't remember the name. I'm fucking bad with the name. I'm going to call you, what's that? Icebeans?
Icebeans. You can call me Beans.
Icebeans, you're from Sri Lanka. You guys are very conservative. You was in Saudi Arabia. But this is what I am. I'm interested in your hand. But I don't want you to work or be streaming like that. I don't want you even to stream. I want you to.
You don't want me streaming?
No, I want you to marry me and build my home, be the housemaker of the house, raise my kids, make me.
Omar.
No.
Omar,
Huh?
are women streamers selfish? Like you mentioned, people who work and who don't have babies, but they go out and they are comedians, actors, and all these things. What
Yeah,
about
they're
women
selfish. Yeah.
streamers who don't have
I mean,
babies?
I
So
don't even think they should be women streamers.
you don't think there should be women streamers, right?
No, for what? What they
What
doing
if
for
they
what?
what if they have kids though? What if that's what their kids are grown, right? They're 50 years old. They've already had kids, okay?
Yeah,
The kids are for teenagers. They don't need watching all the time. Why couldn't they
yeah.
stream?
I mean,
As a
what
hobby.
is? You know, I'm a jealous man. I don't want my wife to be on TV. First of all, she's going to interact with other men in the comments and all that stuff.
It's true. I would absolutely interact with her
You see, and then I have a problem. And Wick, I'm at work while Wick is interacting with my wife every day on
every
Twitch.
day.
Yeah,
Every
that's a
day.
problem for me. You understand?
Fair enough.
I
Like you said, when our children get old, me and Icebean, we go to travel together. We enjoy our good days. I have a good job. On the weekend, we go out shopping, go to the mall, and things of that nature. And when we retire, we get to live our life together as a husband and wife. Instead of competitors, we are one individual. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure. I do have to say though, I don't think I've ever been like proposed to
Yeah.
on a Twitch stream before.
I
I'm
didn't
gonna have
propose.
to, you know, as a very conservative trad wife, Sri Lankan, I'm gonna have to check in with my husband about that. And I'll get back to you on that one.
No,
Okay.
I didn't propose. I'm married. What
No.
I'm saying, I'll give you an idea. You know, when you were in Saudi Arabia, how did that society function?
How did that society function in
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia?
yeah,
I mean, you know, to be quite honest, it wasn't that exciting. Okay,
yeah.
like I mostly interacted with other Sri Lankans who were expatriates. We had a large community of people there, so
But I
I
think the
don't actually
Saudis.
know too many Arabians in like in relation to Sri
No, but
Lankans.
when you went out to the mall to think, how did you see the men and women interact with each other? How was that stuff? I mean,
Not a whole lot because at the time when I was growing up in Saudi Arabia, the religious police, the mutawas, were pretty.
yeah,
They were pretty out and about. So interaction
yeah.
between men and women were really not encouraged at all, and in fact, criminalized in some cases. Um,
I'll give you an
so
example. Women are not even good providers. If a woman made more money than her husband, after a while, she kicks him out the house. You understand? If
okay,
he said,
if
if
it's
she,
if it is it if it's her house, if her name's on the if her
even
name
if
is
they're
on the
married, even if they're married, if the husband is not making money and she's doing all that, she's not going to be patient like me. I will work 20, 30 years for my wife to stay home, and I'll feel proud of doing that. I'm like, oh, I'm a proud man. I was able to raise a family. But a woman, maybe a year or two, she can come right out because they're not providers by nature. You understand? They
I'm
start.
assuming you're of the. I'm assuming in that regard you're of the red pill variety, right? Like you
No, I'm
think
going to
that
give you an
that.
example. You want me to give you an example? It happened where it happened.
Go ahead.
Okay, two congresswomen, one from Georgia and one from Colorado. They're from a humble beginning. What's her name? Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't agree with their politics, but they've been married 20 years. But they got elected to Congress. They came to Washington. They started making $180,000 a year. They started meeting elite men. Started walking the halls of Congress. Where power is. You know what they did? They divorced both husbands in 1 year. They've been married 20 years because
Okay,
when
hold on.
when
Okay,
they
but
went
wait,
home,
what was their
when they
stated
went
reason?
home, when they home, they saw the idiot, the hellbilly Jimmy is not equal to them anymore. She makes better income. She meets better people. She meets the president. She talks with ambassadors. What is she going to do with this guy? Because women are not good providers. Women, if they make money more than the husband or more than their significant other, they will try to look for people within their own range of their new income and stature. They are not patient to work with
Okay.
a man.
Okay, Omar. See, this is the thing. If you think so,
Yeah,
let's take an average man, average
yeah,
guy who's
yeah,
married 20 years. Okay,
yeah.
and he's just been working normal 9-to-5 office jobs. Suddenly, he, through happenstance or through his own efforts, is thrust into a new world of Hollywood. Let's use Hollywood as an example. He hangs out with movie stars, actresses,
the
porn
woman?
stars,
Yeah.
OnlyFans, the high-end OnlyFans models every day. Do you think that man is going to stay faithful to his wife on average? No. No, they're just as likely as the women the women you mentioned who go to the halls of power.
It's okay.
They're just
It's
as
okay.
likely to
Also-
just
No, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Also, the other thing too is that
It's okay for men to have sex outside the marriage. No problem
oh,
with
is
me.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And why exactly? Why
Because,
why the double standard?
Because men don't get pregnant, they don't do anything, and there's no because when the men go outside their marriage, they're looking for sex, not companionship. But when they
So
give you
hold
their
on.
they give you their last name, when they give you their last name, they want a wife to stay at home. You understand? Women,
no, I actually don't. Go ahead,
well,
Dick. Please
men by nature
elaborate.
men by nature are animalistic, have animalistic behavior. They're gonna go outside the marriage. I'm not gonna tell they're angels, but it's different. Let's say
So
I
wait,
go-
hold on. Wait. I wanna ask you. So men are animalistic. Are you saying that they don't have control? They can't control the PP. Like they are not being they don't feel like they're being satisfied enough in their marriage. They're justified in going outside of it.
yeah,
for
it's
sex.
okay, and it's
Why
okay.
is that okay?
Because men and women are not the same. Because let's say if I had sex with 10 women and I go out, oh, Omar is a slut. If you did that, they say, oh, she's a slut. You see how society looks at you?
Yes, but you're describing yourself as an animal right now.
Well, we are all animals. Are we members of the animal
Yes,
kingdom?
but, like you understand what I mean when I actually say
Well,
animal, right?
what I'm
Like I'm not
saying is that
meaning like a literal animal. I mean like a horse.
our sexual
like a,
drive,
like
our sexual drive is different than women. I told you, and it doesn't have the same
okay.
stigma.
No, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
It doesn't have the same stigma.
This goes back to hold on. This goes back to like the women are. I can find you women who have higher sex drives than men. Does that
Yeah.
mean then that for those women who have the higher sex drive, it's okay for them to go outside of their marriage?
No, that makes them whores.
Oh, that makes her a whore, and that
Yeah.
degrades her value, is it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
degrade her value and
How does it degrade her value?
because a man does not want a woman that cheat. That's like a stab in the back for me.
Wait, sorry, you're gonna have to
What
run
I'm
that.
telling you is that women's sexual behavior has a stigma to it. If you're able to,
Okay, I can agree that it has a stigma. Yes,
yeah,
I can agree that it has a stigma, but I'm saying that
if I came out of a building and said Omar just had sex with 10 different women, it would what a fucking how did you do it, Omar? Even Whick would chase me around to give him advice how I did it. But if you came out, what a slut! Look at that whore! Look at that dirty! You understand how society looks at it?
Okay, yes, I understand that's how society looks at it. But here's the two things. Okay, one, the more I've spent time in like the Western world, right? We don't actually do that. We women do have more of a leeway in the Western world, right? Like that behavior wouldn't be acceptable in Saudi Arabia for sure, right?
Even here.
Well, you gotta let her finish. Give her some space. Give Icebeans some space to have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Even here even here to an extent, I can agree that it is still stigmatized, but it's less stigmatized, right? It's like you don't get especially these days, it's fine because we realize that like women can make their own sexual choices too. If they want to sleep around, then that's their prerogative.
That's okay.
It's not something I would choose for myself, but that doesn't mean that I would judge somebody else for it. Just like I wouldn't judge a man who sleeps around. Like if he wants, he can do that too. And that's because I see men and women as equal. Like you're just a fucking person.
Not equal. Yeah,
I mean, again, that's the concrete block that we can't get by, right? But my problem is that you have a view that women and men aren't equal, and so that means that women don't get to have the same rights as a man. They don't get to have the same respect as a man, and that's the problem, right?
I'm not saying you have the same right as I do, civil rights as a part of society to vote, to have your human rights. I'm not talking about those. Those are basic rights that all humans share. What I'm talking about is marital issues. When you get married, there's a contract between you and your husband, for better or for worse.
Okay.
Me as a patriarch thinking man, I think the man should be in the forefront. He should be able to raise his children with his wife in his home, and society or the government should be able to provide him job that he could support his family while they're home.
Okay.
But the whole issue is when people are the husband and wife are outside competing in the job market, and the house is left alone. They can't afford their house. They can't pay their mortgage. They can't do anything. You understand how it worked against us? You understand?
Wait, if both parents are working, they can't afford.
They can't because the corporate America did that on purpose. They brought the women out of the home, saturated the market, but job wages been stagnant for the last 40, 50 years. We are earning the same money that people were earning in the 1970 80. We're only just counting more money in our hand, paper. It's only more paper, but they have less value anyway. But if men were still able to be in the job market while women are home, the economic situation would be different. They would be paid more, they would have more job security, and they will be able to provide. They will
No,
force
but
it on.
here's the problem though. Even if I agreed with this whatever twisted view is, right? Even if I agreed with that, you're still talking about taking women out of the workforce and keeping them at home. Like, how do you plan on doing that?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to have a government law or anything like that. Anybody who gets married and wants a relationship with his wife, you should tell her, listen, either me or your career. That's it.
I mean, if you want to do that with your personal life,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm sure you can find like a trad wife who
Throw the
will
flag.
agree to that. Okay.
Throw the
That's
flag
what I'm
into play,
saying.
because we're
That's what
circling
I'm
the drain a
saying.
little bit. We're circling the drain a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Icebean. I'm saying you have your personal choice. You and your husband could do whatever you want. That's not my problem. But my view is that certain men should be able to have housewife or homemakers, whatever you want to call them. That's all I'm saying.
But here's the problem. Here's what, and sorry, Rick. I know you want to.
I have another.
Yeah,
topic.
I know you. I know. But my problem is that this is the kind of thinking that leads to like repressive like laws being passed, or even like really bad cultural norms where like women can't, even if they were the only provider, right? They're stigmatized for working, even if they were if they were a single mom or something, right? You like in Saudi Arabia, it's not easy being a woman in Saudi Arabia.
Why are they single?
That, right?
Why are they single and working? Why?
No, I'm not talking about. I mean, I don't want to get into why they are single. I'm talking about the people who are single right now being stigmatized for having to work or for being independent, right? Like I just don't understand how or I don't like it when people take views like yours and then do things like legislate against them, right? That's my problem.
What am I going to legislate? I'm going to say, what kind of legislation are we going to have against women? What?
Well, no, I'm saying I don't want that.
What kind of law? What are we going to say? All women must stay home. We're not going to make that into a law. It's still a personal decision. I'm saying that society. I'm saying that we're at a point where everybody's lost. Men doesn't know they're men. Women don't know they're women. Okay. Children don't even know where they are. We need to go back to our roots and try to build the family unit. That's what I'm saying. Very simple.
Yes,
I'm not
very
saying
healthy family unit.
yeah, I'm not trying to take your right or anything. You understand? Away all that. But I think that we're losing. We're losing right now. Nobody's winning.
I wanted to talk a little bit. Well, first of all, you can have the last word on this, Icebeans, if you'd like. And then I want to move on.
No, we can move on. I keep coming back to the concrete block, and I can't move past the concrete block.
That's fine.
It's not concrete. That's fine. I'm trying to free you.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your takes, or maybe both of your opinions on this, on drug decriminalization. Right? We talked about that yesterday on my show, and Icebeans, you had some thoughts, some opinions. So I guess I'd like to hear, and Omar, I'm curious your opinion on this too, but I want to start with Icebeans. What is your stance on decriminalization of hard drugs? I'm not talking weed. I'm talking things like heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, LSD, psilocybin, all that, right?
Honestly, I've got to say I'm still torn even after listening to the entirety of the debate yesterday, because I think I do recognize that I don't think that keeping them criminalized is helpful, right? Yeah, especially when considering that, like, you know, like I've lived in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is it's a very fucking harsh penalty. It's literally death, okay, for dealing. You know, that doesn't mean it wasn't there. It
It's
absolutely
there.
was.
Yeah.
It absolutely did ruin lives. You're not going to like, if like drinking's illegal, right? Drinking's straight up illegal. That doesn't mean that we didn't have alcohol. We had alcohol the entire time that we were there, right?
Yeah.
People make a living off of making, like, moonshine, essentially. Like, that's all I ever drank in Saudi was moonshine. So, and, you know, drunk driving, like, all of these things, I don't think that keeping them criminalized works, right? I do think that we have to be smart about how we decriminalize them. Like you said, like y'all talked about yesterday, there needs to be proper programming and funding in place so that, you know, people have safe spaces to go to, and get decriminalized and get, like, rehabbed and stuff. You know, clean needle programs, all of that stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll get into it more, but I do think that it should be a goal. But yeah,
A goal to decriminalize?
yeah, a goal to decriminalize. Safe, okay. Like, you know, in a smart way, not necessarily just decriminalizing for the sake of being, sure. I don't know, for sure. Being woke or whatever.
Sure. Omar, what is your take on decriminalization?
I'm against that. I mean, weed is okay, like you said, weed is okay, it's like cigarette. But the other drugs, we just add more problems to the problem. We already have a society that is decadent and under a lot of stress. And we're just going to add more and make it more legal and add more death and destruction. I had friends who are heroin addicts. You know how bad it is for them to kick that habit? I mean, they are miserable. They beg you for money every day. The only time they kick their habit is when they went to jail. And then when they came out, they went back right into it because they're always chasing that first high. You understand? So the whole idea is that, no, the government should not involve. They should bring treatment and try to get rid of the drug from the drug market. The whole issue, like, for example, right now, hold on. Right now, 200 people die a day from opiate overdose. Who did that? Corporate America again. Big pharma, like Purdue, introduced these drugs on purpose to poor areas like Kentucky, West Virginia, where people work with their hands, and addicted a whole region of Americans up to the tune of 1 million dead. It's corporate America. All these drugs we're suffering from are made in pharmacies. You understand? We had coke for a long time. Nobody dies of coke, maybe once in a while, and they don't bother people outside. But right now, the opiate crisis is all fueled by corporate America. We need more law enforcement. We need more treatment. But if you're going to add more drugs, you just add more to the problem. I'm trying to get the women back home to raise kids, and you want to give her heroin. How do I compete with you? What kind of government is that? You understand? I'm trying to build a better home. I'm trying to build it back again. And I got to compete. My kid's going to go to a store and buy a needle or whatever, or fentanyl, whatever you want to call it, and get high. And then there we go. Addiction begets addiction. There's no cure for it. The only cure for it is...
Yeah. The reason I'm asking this, right? And the reason why I'm concerned about it, because I think that, like, we have this tendency to... see the victims, and they are victims in a real sense, of drugs, and sympathize with them, empathize with them, and that's good, and we should. The problem is we can't weaponize our empathy in order to cast out our good sense. I think that making things crimes does deter crime. People are less likely to engage in an activity that is illegal. I mean, that works for me. It's not 100%. Like, there are some people who are just going to do it anyway, certainly. But that does not mean we shouldn't have criminal penalties for those who do engage in it. Now, they don't have to be super harsh. I don't want anyone, like, going to jail for 10 years for possession of, like, weed or something. That's silly. But when we talk about, like, the harder stuff, I think there does have to be something in place to make it not just socially stigmatized, but also some sort of criminal penalty. Because, again, especially with the harder drugs, the people who do them are much more likely to hurt those around them. like whether it
Yeah.
be financially, physically, emotionally, etc. Do you disagree,
And-
Icebeans, or what?
No, I think so. Like, I don't get me wrong. I get it. Like, I get that they are very destructive. I get that they are, especially the really bad, the really hard drugs that the ones that you build up a tolerance for, right? Those are the ones that I would say are, are particularly bad and particularly damaging, right? I think the problem though is, when you criminalize these drugs, right? You're pretty much ensuring that, for one thing, you're pretty much ensuring that, like, you're never going to have full control over where these drugs are coming in from, right? For one thing.
I just told you. I just told you where they came from. Hello.
What? No, go ahead. Like, what do you mean?
The opiate crisis was started by corporate
No,
America.
okay. We're
These
not
people
talking
should
about
be.
the opiate crisis,
Yeah,
though. We're talking
that's
about, like, heroin and
100.
fucking
Hold on.
meth
100.
and everything else.
Hold on. 112,000 Americans died last year from opiate overdose. That's a lot of people. And you know who it is? Corporate America. They're not even in jail. You have El Pacho, whatever his name is, that Mexican drug dealer in jail. The Stalker family, whatever the name is, who owned a big pharma, Purdue Pharma. They should be all in jail. They
Okay, hold on.
purposely
Okay,
murdered
that's
1 million people.
fine. Okay, fine. Throw the corporate overlords into jail. That's fine. I'm talking about essentially, like, drugs that are brought in from, like, drugs that are brought in from other countries, like drugs that are brought in from Mexico and stuff like that, right? Like, for one thing, when you criminalize them, you are basically, I don't know, you're basically relinquishing that control, right? Because if you were to decriminalize them, then at least it would be going back to corporate America, but at least this is something that we would be able to control, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think you just add fuel to the fire. That's all I think it is. And you're just making things. I think you're just making things more worse.
Okay, and the other thing too is that, Whick, I think that I know we're talking about hard drugs in particular, right?
Mhm.
But this was the thing that I was gonna come in and yell at. I finally
Okay.
fucking
You
remembered
remembered?
it. Okay,
Go ahead.
yeah, I finally remembered it. So something you said, something that, I'm so sorry, I forgot the person's name. I just remember what Kai Court called her. Food stamps. I'm so sorry. Please tell me what their actual name is.
Food shops. It's food
Food
stamps.
okay,
food
food
stamps.
shops. Okay, food stamps was pretty fucking funny. Okay. But, like, what they were saying was, when you there is a way to essentially teach kids that, like, actually these drugs aren't as cool as you think, right? Like, there is a way to do that. I think you seem to, like, be pushing back. I need to go back and watch that specific thing. But, like, especially, like, here in Canada, I'm in Canada right now, right? Like, I could go, like, I could go right downstairs, right? Go get my Timmy's, and then go right next door and get my weed, right? And that's as boring as it gets. Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that, but I don't get high because I just don't give a shit. It's not exciting. Okay, I had my ears pierced when I was a baby. So, like, getting my ears pierced is not a cool thing for me anymore. Like, it's just boring as fuck. I think there is a way to basically, like,
But
if it is legal.
I understand what you're saying, but there are problems with normalization. I'm going to get into them, but first let me read some super chats, if I may. $5 from Testicle Johnson. Great points as always, Omar. Question: do you think that feminism has contributed to this serious societal issue that we're facing today? Don't answer that. We'll get to it later. I don't want to derail back into that. Let's put a pin in it. Temperate takes for $10. Story time. My brother worked at a gas station. A guy high on PCP walked in, trashed the store, picked up the ATM machine, and walked out of the building with it. Can't treat all drugs the same. And I think that is... So I guess I'll just ask. So everything I heard this all the time growing up. And I'm still torn on the truthfulness of it. That marijuana is a gateway drug. What do we think? Do we think it's a gateway drug?
It's only a gateway drug if, like, if you stigmatize it so much to the point where you're Okay, I think that if you stigmatize it so much to the point that your child, for example, right, has to go to the most like seediest of people that they know, right, to get the weed. If those people also do other drugs, then yes, that would be a gateway thing, right? If it's boring, if it's something you can get on the fucking corner of the street, then no. It's not going to be like that. If it's something like if it's something that is accessible and not like stigmatized, right? Then weed in itself, of course, you can be like emotionally like addicted to it. There is an addiction of sorts, but it can very easily never lead to anything more.
I think that for me, at least, there is something to be said about the ways we have talked about drugs, especially less harmful drugs in society, like weed. I think this ties into a point I touch on all the time on my show. It's the lack of trust that everyone is having today in institutions, because our institutions haven't just failed us, but they've lied to us. Yeah. One of the reasons that DARE and stuff did not work is because there were lies within it, falsehoods. People, they said weed will destroy your life. Not necessarily. And so when people saw others whose lives weren't destroyed by this terrible drug, and they realized that, oh, what they've told us about this just isn't true, it casts into doubt all the other things that has been said by this institution. We need to stop lying to people about these things. That said, they aren't lying about other things. Just because they lied about that doesn't mean they're being dishonest all the time. There are certain drugs who will destroy your life. There are certain drugs that if you get into them, that's just it. That's your life. That's gone, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I do agree that like especially if it's something that I don't know. I've heard, for example, that cocaine is pretty bad in terms of getting you hooked, like just on 1 or 2 times of taking it, like of using it. I don't know. I've never tried it, never will. But I've heard the same thing about heroin. I don't know how truthful they are, but I can imagine someone falling into that hole really easily. Yeah.
So I'm hearing from chat at least, and trust chat as far as you can throw them, but they're saying that cocaine is not physically addictive. It's mentally addictive. Like you'll get. Well, it's the same thing with Adderall and all these other kind of lesser stimulants. You get and caffeine to a very lesser extent. You get reliant on them in a way. Right?
It's a high cocaine is a high value drug. First of all, it's expensive. People who use it either have good income. White males will have good income, and it's not as addictive. I mean, you could hit your nose once in a while. I never did any of that stuff. But heroin is very bad. Heroin is a drug that destroys the body and makes you addictive. You need it as much often during the day. You cannot function the whole day without it. You understand? And I had a friend who had a heroin issue, and from Yemen, and it destroyed his life, everything. The only time he stopped is either when he went to jail, or we forced him to go to Yemen. As soon as he got out of jail, we force him on a plane, but he always goes back. That's it. Once they taste that what they call it, chasing the dragon, whatever it's called. Once they get that taste, they never fucking leave it anymore. Drugs, the government does lie to us. The whole war on drug, if you saw, it was only against it was a war against the leftist movement and the African American neighborhoods. Atwater admitted, Atwater on his deathbed admitted and apologized to the black community. Nixon started the war on drugs just to destroy the left-wing movement or the left-thinking segment of our society, because we had the guerrilla movement, we had a lot of action going on, communism, socialism, a lot of movement in the United States, and the whole idea was not to prevent drugs.
I mean, I do know that the whole war on drugs thing was
the lie.
Well, it was created as like specifically targeting black neighborhoods and
So-
things like that. So
The thing with it is that Nixon wanted to be able to arrest people, right? That he couldn't arrest. There was no grounds to arrest certain individuals. Hippies, right? Were causing a lot of problems. Anti-war protesters, black individuals, etc. These were all groups that were causing his administration issues, and he wanted to use the law against them. However, there were no laws on the books preventing what they were doing. And so they created them. They made them up. So now that they have an excuse to go in and bust these people. Because now this drug that they've been doing is illegal. So this is how this was the mechanism which they created in order to target and destroy their enemies. I see this happening.
Was that when all yeah, I have to admit I'm not as well versed as this is like the legislation on this, but is that when like all drugs were like criminalized at that point?
I don't think it was all drugs. I'm not exactly sure the specifics of which drugs, but I know.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying when I say all drugs.
But that was kind of the starting point, if you will, for a lot of this to happen. Now, again, certain drugs, I agree, should be criminalized. There are certain things that people were doing, and companies and corporations, to Omar's points here, take advantage of these things in order. So, for example, if we legalized heroin, cocaine, or decriminalized. Yeah, let's just go with legalized. If we legalize these things, which a lot of people want to do, because again, we have to differentiate between decriminalization and legalization. Decriminalization doesn't mean we now have control over what's put in them. We don't. That just means that addicts and stuff aren't going to jail. In order to get that kind of control that people want, where we control the processes and what's put in, you have to legalize it. But with that comes a whole host of problems. For example, Coca-Cola used to put cocaine in their drinks. They just did, straight up, put cocaine in their drinks. So, obviously, they don't anymore. But if it became legal, you would absolutely see energy drinks and things with just straight cocaine in them. And corporations would advertise that, market it, sell it, push it on the public. There would be this market that has been created would now be filled, and all the problems with that, right? The powerful forces that come along with that would shape how our society looks, and it would absolutely be devastating.
Hold on a second. But we correct me if I'm wrong. We don't necessarily see this with weed, though, do we?
If you look at no, absolutely we do. So I'll tell you why, right? So it's a different kind of problem. So when they legalized and decriminalized weed in California, Oregon, etc., what happened was the prices shot way up, first and foremost, right? So a lot less people could afford them. The people who you have to get a license to sell them, and suddenly, right, a lot of the people who were in business are now out of business because they can't afford a license. It was just basically a way to give crony capitalism would be probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, we have the same issue.
But here's the thing, though, like, and again, this is something that, like, I guess my point is that, like, you don't necessarily need weed to survive, right?
Sure.
I guess in general, I like maybe it's because I don't really partake, or I guess like unless it's like a social situation or something. So I don't have like a investment into it, right? But especially like the fact that, like, say for example, like in Canada, just like weed usage is just lower, right? Isn't it? So like, why? I guess
I don't know this Canadian stats. Canadian's not a real country to me. So.
Yeah.
How many people have sold their TV for weed? Huh? Nobody. I haven't seen a guy say, "Well, I got to get weed. Let me sell my TV for that weed." Nobody. But I saw people sell their TV for heroin.
I will say.
For opiate.
I just think.
I will say this: that people who their entire personality is smoking weed are a detriment on society. like the type who
Right.
everything
Well,
they do
that's
is
it.
weed related.
Yeah.
Weed
Yeah,
this, weed
of
that,
course,
and
it's
yeah,
fucking
that's
yeah, it's
cringe.
cringe. Okay, like I'm not knocking it, but it is cringe. I'm sorry, y'all. People not liking that in my chat, but like, the thing though is that like I don't know. I just don't think that we have seen like the proliferation of weed products like you say that we would for cocaine,
I
right?
think it'll
Like
take time,
I think
but give it
well,
time.
but
Give it a few years. Give it a
yeah,
decade.
I don't think that Coke is going. I don't think that Coca-Cola is going to risk like putting cocaine in their drinks again,
Coke wouldn't.
knowing exactly. Well, Coke wouldn't,
Another
but
company might.
yes, but like I
I,
You
think
don't
that
have
we
a
would have.
brand yet. You're a new startup. You want to
Hold
get
on,
successful,
I
right?
just
Does that
don't
make
think
sense?
I just don't think that legalization means that we're saying yes, go ahead, put it in every product, make people addicted to it. I don't think that's what legalization.
companies, they're not going to do it because they're afraid of lawsuits in case somebody dies or anything. Any
Yeah,
responsible corporation will not do it. What I'm saying is that you have to understand that
I mean, yeah.
I saw the crack epidemic in New York City, and it destroyed families. It destroyed households. It turned the family. I swear to God, it turned women, the mothers, into prostitution. The fathers, they used to sell their kids Christmas gifts. That's how bad it used to be in New York. Then what happened? They had the bill, the 1994 crime bill, and Giuliani, they cleaned that shit right up. Boom. It disappeared. And crack actually was introduced, they said, by the CIA to black neighborhood, $5 to support the Contras and the movement against the socialism and communism in Central America and South America and Central America. But the destruction that it did in New York City was unbelievable. It was like a war torn. You go to the Bronx, it was like these burned down buildings, blocks upon blocks of them. Brooklyn, New York. I'm talking about cities you guys don't know. Same thing. It was destructive. People walk around like zombies, addicted. They sell anything they can. I mean, it was disgusting. I mean, it was disgusting, and I felt sorry for the people that got hooked on that stuff. So, to legalize drug, Mrs. Bean, I think it's going to just add more to the problem. And once these people are
Well,
addicted, if the
mm,
government says it's okay, then people say, "Oh, the government said it's okay, then I'm going to go use it." If it's available at the
well,
store. Let me
here's
see.
the thing. Here's the thing, though. I think you are thinking about. I think you are thinking about legalization. Just saying, okay, it's done. You can just use it now, and
Yeah.
that's absolutely not what I'm advocating for. Like I don't know if you watched yesterday's panel, but
No.
the way that we were the way that some places have legalized it, they've done it in a way specifically with the intent and with the purpose of making it easier for addicts to like seek treatment without being criminalized, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And again, like Whick knows more about these programs than I am gonna do, but I'm definitely not saying just make it legal and fuck the consequences, right? We're doing it in a specific way, and Whick, I think that would include having guidelines for this sort of thing, right? Just like
What
we
do you
wouldn't
mean
just.
guidelines? Can you give us some
Well,
examples?
so you know how so what was that fucking drink? Four Locos, right?
Yeah.
Like the one that had was it
Beer.
alcohol? Yeah, there
Yeah.
was alcohol and caffeine in it, right? Like they got
I'm vaguely familiar. Go on.
Yeah. All right. Look, it
yeah.
was a very strong beer, and it tasted like strawberry, raspberry. So people, when they drank it, they didn't know they were drinking something very strong. You
Well,
understand?
I mean, it was alcohol and caffeine, and it got
Yeah.
like basically people got in enough trouble. Okay, people they were like there were blackouts. People were like getting in all sorts of crazy shit over it, right? And they actually got the company to take out the caffeine, right? It was just a dangerous combination. So I think that like I don't think that hopefully we still have an FDA that like is able to legislate for this
So
stuff,
the problem
right? But
is, right, I
yeah,
get you, but why? I guess I would ask, why risk it? Because we have legislated it. We're saying no. We're saying no, this is illegal to do. This is already the conclusions we've come to. why try it again just in case it's different, right? Why,
But
like,
it's not.
okay,
It's not trying it. It's not trying it again, though, is it? Like we're saying that we're not again. We're bringing in these guidelines so that it
look at
is not so
cigarettes.
stigmatized,
Look
right?
at cigarettes.
Okay.
Do you think
Let's talk about
cigarettes have been a
Okay.
boon to society or a bane?
Oh no.
What is it? What's the question?
Have cigarettes been a boon to society or a bane?
I'd say bane.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. What?
Is my mic working? Hello?
Yeah,
Is it have cigarettes been good for society or bad?
Very bad. Very bad.
Very bad. Okay.
I have a million people die a year from cigarette-related diseases such as COPD, and it's very, very bad. The way they die a terrible death.
And while we have regulated it, absolutely, we don't let them advertise. In many cases, we make them put warning labels on it. Yeah. All these things that are outside of criminalizing, right? We haven't criminalized it at all, and yet, while smoking is down societally, we have still had decades, years of knowing it was bad, and again, pushing that product anyway. So
yeah, but
again,
isn't that to do
we
with,
know
like,
the effects of some of these
lobbying?
hard drugs.
Now, I want to tell you something. Let me go back on the hard drug. Bean said something. I think they should put safe houses where addicts go to use their drugs. Like, listen, if you're gonna do heroin, this is a safe house. In every town, every village, they have a place. They do it under observation. They get clean stuff. They don't get to overdose. They wash them because they're already addict. They don't function. They're not part of society no more. And at the same time, offer them treatment at the same time.
Yeah, of course, great. And I'm just saying that. Okay, look, my point, Omar, is that decriminalizing it, at least, right, would help more people to be able to use those houses, right? Because if they don't have to worry about being arrested at these places or coming out of these places, then they would go use them more, right? Like that's the idea.
I don't even think they're arresting them anymore.
Don't you think that would happen, Whick? Are you saying that they wouldn't?
Because they treat it like the opiate.
I'm gonna be real with you.
It's why we have. Okay, I'm just like, you know.
I don't think, like, I think most people are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to go to rehab because I might get arrested." Most people are just using that as an excuse. It's a lie. That's not why they're addicts.
No, but you do realize that there are people who.
Yeah, a couple.
A couple. Okay, hold on. Sure. We need to find stats for this.
Please do. Right.
You know the difference is even in drugs is racism. Like, for example, the crack epidemic was treated as a criminal issue. Like, the user was criminalized and went to jail. While right now, the opiate crisis, which is only hitting a certain segment of our population, our white brothers and sisters in rural America, is treated as a medical issue. You understand? So, I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit. You know, government does a lot of crazy stuff.
$5 from Testicle Johnson to ask. Great points, Omar. Do you think there would be less drug use if not for feminism?
Oh my fucking god!
Yeah. I hate feminism. Feminism destroyed everything. Let me ask you the first guy. Are they donating money today or not? What's his name?
Testicle Johnson. Yeah, he's giving me $10 so far. He can get, Canadian dollars, so it's not real money, but you know, I'll take it.
I'll match it.
Canadian pesos.
Okay, we'll match it. So far, we've made.
Anybody who donates in my name and say Omar is cool, I'll match it.
Okay, Omar is cool. Come on, gang. Super chats,
right.
subs, bits.
What I'm saying is that
Omar is cool. Let's go.
What was the first question? What was the first question from Super Chat? Remember before? What was the question?
Oh, so I don't want. No, we're not going back to the feminism right now. We're not. We can do it at the end. We're gonna do it at the end. We do it at the end. Okay, we do it at the end as a treat. If we can make enough subs and bits and money and things. Okay.
Tell me that drug addiction is a scourge on Western society, all societies, especially the opiate crazes. Like she said, Saudi Arabia has the highest drug use of opiate, like amphetamine, what they call these pills.
Yeah.
All societies.
What's the other one? Hash? I don't know.
Yeah. They all suffer from that all over the world, and children are dying needlessly, and it's a shame what's going on, and it's addictive.
I definitely agree that, like, it's bad, right?
I'm gonna confess, yeah.
Okay.
I have nerve damage and issues. I take Klonopin. You heard of Klonopin?
I have.
Yeah, that Dr. Jordan Peterson, who got addicted, almost died from it because he's a fucking idiot. He overdosed on them.
Okay.
I've been taking it for 15 years. I used to take 1 milligram 3 times a day. I didn't know it was addictive. I didn't know it. When they gave it to me, they fucking slicked. And then one day I ran out, like a couple years later, like 10 years or 5, 7 later, and I was like this. And my mood changed. This big heat coming from the back. I knew it was an addiction. I try to cut down. I did cut down. I only take now 0.5 milligram a day. So thank God I can't stop all of it. What I'm saying sometimes that these drugs sometimes are contributed from pharmacies. They give it to you. It's legally given to you.
Look, I'm not saying that that's not a problem, right? No, look, and I've lived in different countries. I know that America tends to overprescribe pain medication, right? Like when I went home after I had my thyroid taken out, and after I went home, they gave me this gigantic bottle of I think it was OxyContin, and it was like
you took it?
I took like two. I took it like 2 times, right? But then I just had this fucking bottle of OxyContin. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this gigantic bottle of OxyContin?
Down the toilet.
I didn't need it. I didn't need it.
$50 a pill.
Huh?
I mean, that's something that people do, right? And the same thing is true of I take Vyvanse, right? Like, same thing is true of Vyvanse, same thing is true of Adderall. Like, this stuff goes for this stuff sells, right? So, but they didn't need to give me that big ass bottle. I know places. In other countries, they definitely don't give you. They don't give you that much. It's like, all right, here's some ibuprofen. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I definitely do recognize that that America in particular has a problem with, and I definitely don't deny their I don't know, their presence or their role in the opioid crisis for sure.
Let me give you a story. In 2016, I had a skin infection, very bad, on my calf, and it was so bad. I forgot what it's called. It's a very bad infection. If it gets into the bloodstream, you get the. So I went to the hospital. I was in pain. They asked you, Omar, from 1 to 10, what's your pain? I told them 9 or 8. Said they gave me
really bad.
What? They gave me a choice. They said, do you want Tylenol or you want what do you call it, morphine, right? I never had that, so I said, let me try morphine in my head. I'm fucking evil as it is while I'm sick. I said, let me try this shit, whatever it is. I took the first, man, I was high for 12 hours. They came back again. I said, oh, how was your pain? I said, 10. I'm going to get another hit. She gave me, I think she was a new nurse, wherever. She could overdose me. I was high for almost 18 hours. I was like this. And
Omar, how did they come in and give you a choice between fucking Tylenol and morphine?
And this is a prestigious hospital. It's North Shore Hospital here in Long Island. It used to be Long Island. Listen, but this is how you get addicted. You go into the hospital, and then I owned businesses at that time, and I was telling myself, "Now, Omar, you got 2 hits of fucking morphine. Okay, when you leave the hospital, where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? You start selling the stuff in your store?" So I started thinking about my businesses and all that stuff. I stopped. I was having these chest issues. Like my chest was about to cave in. I was already having withdrawals. Only after 2 hits. For 3 days, I couldn't talk. I was in pain. My body was like aching, and I felt like my chest was going inwards. I said, God, that's how they get people addicted. I wrote a letter to the hospital. I told them, listen, what happened to me, and they should not offer it. Yeah, you understand? Because it's very easy to say yes.
Of course.
I said,
of
course.
I mean, I'm not denying that. I do think that corporate America has had a role on this for sure.
Bad. Well, corporate America destroyed the women, and they destroyed the society.
Okay. No, we aren't going back to that. Nope. I have some other topics.
I am the leader of the incel movement over here.
You absolutely. I don't know about incels, but you are absolutely something. You're absolutely something, Omar.
I'll come to you in peace.
Actually, wait, Omar. I am interested. Would you consider yourself an incel?
No, I've been married a long time. I feel. Okay. I think incel are very are the product of feminism. They're not able to communicate. They're not able to communicate with women. They're scared. They're not able to talk to women. Because no. Because women has become very manly. They're very strong, and these guys are weak. They don't know how to talk to women, and if they get a rebuff one time, that's it. They don't even talk. You know that 30% of American men are virgins. Would you believe that? They're not able to have access to vaginas in this country.
Okay, hold on. When you say 30% of men, what's your age consideration here?
Doesn't
18 and
matter.
over.
Between 18 and 20 and 30. 18 and over, yeah. I'm not
Okay.
talking about children now.
Okay, no, I'm just checking.
I'm telling you.
Thank you for the raid. Rena ran that way. Hello, welcome to the Whick punishment stream, apparently, where we never ever get off this topic because why would we ever?
No,
I was we can very much get off this
interesting.
topic.
Yeah, good. I'm sorry.
I had one question.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these insults are the victims or of the feminist movement.
Okay.
You know.
Oh
They're not
shit!
able
I mean, I think they're. Never mind.
I do think they're victims for sure.
Yeah, victims. We need to strengthen we need to make them men again.
Okay, let me ask you this. I guess since I guess we have to talk about this.
Oh God.
What makes a man a man? Well, first of all, do you think that gender plays a role in society that is helpful? Icebeans. I'm curious. I know what Omar thinks, but I'm curious what you think. Do you think that we should get away from gender? Are you a gender abolitionist?
I would actually not call myself a gender abolitionist. In the sense that, you know, even like, I think that there are people who even if we were in a world that didn't have gender, right, or even if we transitioned to one, I think I would still call myself a woman, right? And for that reason, and like, you know, I know for sure there would be other people like me. I know there would be men who would just never get away from calling themselves men because that's what they feel like. They feel like they are men. So I think that as long as we're going to have those labels, I am like interested in broadening people's understandings of it. And maybe, break open those roles a little bit. But I definitely would not go so far as to say that I'm an abolitionist.
Interesting. What is, I guess, so you mentioned that even if there were no, like, we got away from the concept, you would still think of yourself as a woman. When you think of men and women, right, what are some defining characteristics societally, do you think? What should men be and what should women be, in your opinion?
That's a little harder to say because I think that there are
honest.
I mean, I know what the roles are, right? And I know that the roles are what sometimes, like, we use them or we take them to extents that mean that they cause harm to people, right? Like, we paint mothers in this, like, the mothers have to be caring, they have to be X, Y, and Z, and that can sometimes result in just restrictions.
Hold on.
I don't know if I have an answer to your question though.
Sure, that's fine. But you said something interesting there. I want to kind of touch on. You said that the stereotype of mothers being caring can do harm. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's a stereotype we would want to promote, right?
Yeah. No. So like, so caring can be like, you can have helicopter parents, right? You can have like mothers who are unable to let go of their children, right? I'm sure you've heard of many a situation where a daughter-in-law is having issues with her mother-in-law because he's just that big of a mama's boy, and it's because he's never really learned to live outside of the influence of his mother. That's one way where you can be too caring, right?
Absolutely, right? But if you had the choice, right, of a mom who cared maybe too much and a mom who didn't give a fuck,
yeah,
which would you rather?
Well, that kind of depends because I've seen some instances of like pretty fucking too much caring women, right? To the point where I can say like like this is just as harmful as a of a mother who didn't care. I think realistically the answer to your question is I would want to have a mother that cares too much as opposed to a mother that didn't
Can I
care
say
at all.
something?
But yeah, go ahead, Omar.
You won't have that issue. If you had a strong man, if you had a strong father, he wouldn't be his mama's boy. You understand? Right there. You answer yourself. Right there, you defeated your own cousin. If there was a strong man in the house, the boy or the kid would not become his mama's boy because he would be his daddy's boy. You understand? That's it. Mothers are there to
how do you answer that, Icebeans?
Huh?
Yeah,
That's
you just
it.
destroyed your own argument, Icebeans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she defeated
I'm
herself.
sorry. I'll give in. That's destroyed with facts
Okay,
and logic.
but see, this is the thing, Omar. You just destroyed
Icebeans.
your argument because Icebeans, you weren't strong enough as a man to destroy her argument, but Icebeans was strong enough to destroy her argument. Therefore, women are stronger, at least in this instance, than men.
Oh, she's defeated. She's defeated because she doesn't want to listen. They don't want to listen. Women think, oh, he's a chauvinist. Oh, he hates women because he says that. No, I love women.
No, I don't think. Okay, I'll say this, Omar. I don't think you hate women.
No, I want you to be a queen. I want you to be mothers. I want you to raise children. I want you to have successful husband. I want you to be under the protection of strong men.
Can they wear shoes?
And all I want
pregnant?
is not to be put on a pedestal. Like I don't want to be. I think that's my problem with the way that you see women. I know we're coming back to this, but
we'll get off
like,
of it in a second. I have one more topic.
The way you see women is as an object, right?
Object,
like
a partnership.
It's not a partnership, Omar.
To make the husband food, to raise his kids, to make sure that
one person is still subjected to the other. Like in like one person is still the.
Oh, what do you want us to do? What do you want to do? You want to go out naked like me in shorts? What do you want to do?
No, I never said anything like that.
But what do you want to do to be equal? Do you want to walk around with a wife beater and a cigarette pack on your? I mean, I don't understand. What are you talking about? That we are not equal. We'll never be equal, no matter what people say. Men and women will never be equal. I don't care. You understand?
I think this goes back to your question, Whick. Like, what do we want women and men to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, like, we all have an idea of what women are, right? And my thing is that I would just want to push on those boundaries so that it's not always the case that a woman has to stay at home with the child, right? I would like it to, for example, like, okay, so we were actually having this conversation with him this morning where he was talking about how he would love it if he could be a stay-at-home dad, right?
That's a fucking idiot. Okay. Go ahead.
Be that as it may, right?
Yeah.
That's something that we should be able to encourage and make possible for him in this. And it is possible, right? In today's society, it is possible for him. It's what he wants.
But I'm going to give you an example. Can I give you an example, please, Whick? Give me 3 minutes, please. I'm going to give you an example from the animal kingdom. Okay, hold on. Please listen to me. I'm not able to. Let's first start with the high value male that doesn't want to stay home. Like the lion is he's the king of his pride, right? He protects the women. He makes sure that everything is safe. The women do the hunting. He gets to eat first wherever. But he's valued as a strong male, and he is respected by the pride. You understand? That's a high value male. Hold on. Now your friend who wants to stay home, I'll tell you what he is. Have you heard of the black widow? The black widow, once she wants to make this beautiful house, he'll put these flies and put a perfume out, and the male will come around. Ooh, beautiful woman, beautiful house, free food. This is heaven. This is where I belong. I'm a stay-at-home dad. He goes in there. They do the things they do. When she's done with him, she ties him up and eat him. Because why? Because he's a weak male. He's a stay-at-home dad. That's what he is. That's what happened. The woman would chew him. No woman would be patient with a husband that stays home while she goes to work from 9 to 5 every day in the train while he's there playing video games, whatever, and playing daddy at home.
Okay, but here's the thing though, Omar. That's a myth.
What's a myth?
Black widows don't kill their mates.
They eat them.
They don't. That's a myth.
I have no idea. I always thought they did.
It's the same thing with like everyone has that idea about praying mantises, and it's the fucking
Google
myth.
it.
They saw it. Go ahead. I did. I just did.
Wait.
black? No, they do eat it. It is in all cultures.
Are you
They
look?
do.
Hold on. No, this is
I saw-
important.
I saw
I
this in
always
Trump.
thought that the black widows ate their mate and that praying mantises ate the head off of their husbands, right?
No, they don't. That they saw it in like a fucking lab one time, and they were like, "Ooh, yeah, they must eat their mates." No,
No, it's in all cultures.
It's okay. Here, it's dangerous for them to meet. Yes, but that doesn't mean they eat them. You want to know, and you want to eat Omar. If you want an actual example, you should look up what's that underwater
The clownfish.
the anglers.
Oh, dang.
The anglers. Look up how they procreate. Those are the ones you want to use in your example of like women killing their husbands.
I don't want to know that. Look, it makes too good of a story for black widow spiders to eat their mates.
No, they do. They do.
Hey, we're talking about animals, okay?
Yeah,
like,
that's
okay.
They have different. I know she googled. I saw she googled. That's not true. They do eat their husband.
No, they don't.
They do. They do.
It is dangerous. Yes, they are very ornery. Yes, they can be eaten. Yes, but they don't tend.
In Arabic, it's called the 𝕵𝖎𝖙. It means the widow. These are different cultures that we were able to agree. They do eat them. They do. Maybe
they
one of them
do
gets
eat them, but it's not like a thing that they always eat them. They always rip the heads off afterwards. No, come on.
No, but they do. The majority of the time they do eat them. But a lion, they don't eat them. The husband, they get to eat first. The woman
okay, and some animals, some cats,
do you think that
some cats eat their babies after they give birth? Does that mean that cats eat their babies?
I want you to be honest with me, Mrs. Being here.
Mm-hmm.
If your husband is a stay-at-home dad and you work, are you willing to work 20, 30 years while that idiot is walking around playing daddy in the house?
Wait, are you asking me if I would like accept him being a stay-at-home dad while
20 years, 30 years while you work your whole life?
Why not?
I don't think so.
Why not?
You will kick him right out.
Why would I do that? He's a stay-at-home dad. What the fuck?
Women
that's like the best thing ever.
By nature, women are not provided. They don't have that kind of patience. They're not going to give away their life to some idiots.
Okay, I am losing my patience for this topic.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Where you want to go? Okay.
Let's move on.
Are they donating these idiots? You guys, you donating?
No one's donating. Got to give me money, gang, so he can price match me.
Where's the Omar W?
Yeah, where's the Omar W super chats that he will match? So if you donated to me $100 of super chats, he would give me $100 directly. It would be nice. I could use $200. Anyway, regardless, let me ask this. Okay, totally different segue into a totally different topic. But it is topical, and I am curious because Icebeans, you have mentioned that you are a React Andy streamer.
Oh God! Okay.
I'm sure you know where this is going. There have been a lot of talk recently about React content being a form of theft. That you are stealing the work of someone else who has put in effort and time into bringing some sort of content to the fore, and you are simply taking that content and using it to fuel your content. That is the argument that people would use to say that React content is harmful and bad. Now we can talk about that, or the second choice, if you would rather, the recent riot in New York over Kai Cenat's PlayStation giveaway. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, I live in New York.
Which of these two would you rather discuss today? I'll let Icebeans, since you are our guest.
I guess yes.
I'm actually. Let's do the riots. Okay. I mean, the React Andy stuff is, I think, there's I don't know. No,
a little too close to home for you, right? You don't want to.
No, I mean, I don't mind. No, actually, I don't mind. I just want to know. It kind of depends on what Omar thinks about the React Andy stuff.
But what is it? I didn't understand. React to other people's
Okay,
content?
let's talk about the riots then. Okay, fair enough.
We'll talk about
We'll talk about the riots. So the riots. So first of all, do you think it's okay, or is it right or just that Kai Cenat be charged for inciting a riot based on what he did.
Okay, so just walk me through, because I do know like, you know, generally what happened, but I don't necessarily remember what he did that would have constituted him being charged, right?
So here's the situation. As I understand it, and as I have been made aware of, Kai had a giveaway in Union Square. He was going to give away PlayStation 5s. Okay.
Right.
He says, meet up at this time at this place, and I'll give you some PlayStation 5s.
Did he have any limit? Did he have any limit on these, or he just said?
Not that I don't know if he stated a limit or not. He had no security. He had no preparation. He had nothing. It was an extremely poorly organized, poorly managed. The venue was in a space where you can't really control it. Basically, he expected like 50, 100 people to show up, maybe 500 people to show up. About 2,000 to 3,000 showed up. So it was much more than they had anticipated, much more than they had expected. And his fans got rowdy and began rioting. They destroyed a lot of the property around there. They beat up an elderly vendor. And basically caused a lot of chaos and mayhem. Now, the police came in and made it worse. Let's be clear. They didn't help. But the question is, did Kai Cenat incite a riot? Is his poor planning, poor, management, is that enough to say, hey, you were responsible for what this group of people did?
I think yes, because like I think that I think he didn't plan for it. He didn't have a permit or anything. He's not exactly I'd never heard of him personally, but when I heard about this, I looked him up, and he's not exactly what you'd say a small streamer. So surely he can't have it just said, like, even if he had said, oh, I only expected like 100 people to show up for this. Well, no, that you still you organized this event and like fucking millions of people showed up. I don't know. I do think he's responsible in some way, yes.
Should he be legally responsible is a question, right?
What was he charged with again? You said
inciting a riot. I don't know the specific charge, but that is what he was arrested for.
I don't know the intricacies of the law.
Fair enough, but morally, regardless of the legalities of it, right? Do you think that he should be held responsible somehow, right?
I think he should, yes, because this is not something like so this is the example that I'm equating to in my mind, right? It's like if you're following a car and you don't react enough in time. Let's say that they've screeched to a stop in the middle of the highway, right? And you didn't have enough time to react, and so you plowed into the back of the car ahead of you, right? Even if it was like, well, why the fuck did they stop in the middle of the highway, right? You still should have been following at a safe distance. So it is like you will get charged, even though like the accident wasn't caused by you. Well, I don't know. I that's kind of how I see it. Like you're still going to get charged because you weren't following at a safe distance. You weren't like cautious. You weren't precautionary driving, right? And so in this case, it's like, well, the least you can do is get a fucking permit, right? So at least like people would be properly prepared, or whatever else, or even suggest a better venue for this kind of thing. Wasn't this held in some park?
Union Square.
Union Square. It's very crowded. Okay, can I add my 2 cents into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first, I agree with Mrs. Bean here that he should be held responsible, legally responsible. Not only that, to add insult to injury, he had no games. He had nothing to offer. He came empty-handed. So it was all a hoax from the beginning. If he had any intention, he would have had like 10 PlayStations or 20 headphones. He came empty-handed like everybody else. And
Oh wait, he didn't even bring the PlayStations.
no, he had nothing. He just came empty-handed. That's
Nobody
what.
got PlayStations at the end.
Nobody got anything. But it shows you how idiot people are. First of all, it shows you the strength of social media and social media influences. That's
I didn't know
they're
that
very
part
dangerous.
either.
Yeah.
No, he came empty-handed. Whick. He didn't got nothing. It was a hoax. It was a piece of. He's a liar. Not only that, and to bring people to the busiest spot in New York City in the heart of Manhattan is dangerous. And these were all young people, and you had like 3,000-4,000. If the police did not act fast enough, you would have had a full riot. They could have burned down the whole area.
Okay, if this is true, and I don't know if it's true, I have to look this up. So I just want to give that I want to give that caveat first of all. Just let me finish here. I want to give that caveat that if this is true, and I don't know, I'll have to look it up on my own to see if it's true. But let's assume it is true. That if he hosted this event saying, hey, if you show up, I'm going to give you PlayStations 5s, right? Some of you are going to win, some lucky few, etc. But then he had no intention of doing so, and he basically lied to everyone. And then when they got here, he's like, ha, 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 I got nothing for you. You're shit out of luck. Even if he had done everything by the book otherwise, legally, like he'd gotten a permit, he'd set it up, he'd made everything safe, etc., he still should probably face some kind of fucking penalty for that, because that is shitty as hell to do. To say, hey, get everyone's hopes up like that, and then just to snatch it away, that's not funny. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think people are going to do when they take time out of their day to show up in a location, to come in and maybe win something, and then to find out that, ha ha ha, funny prank? I don't know, man. Like, you get what you get at that point.
I mean, I think that, yeah, in that sense, yes, you are going to piss off a lot of people. But I think the same would be true if, like, say he had only one PlayStation to give out, but didn't disclose that there was only one PlayStation, right? Let's just say he said, I don't know, maybe it would be the same effect, I think, right? Like, if he essentially, I think that even if he did everything else by the book, right? If he wasn't disclosing, okay, only 5 people are going to get PlayStations at this event, right? Then yes, you are going to be held responsible if 1 million fucking people show up and, like, you start a riot because there weren't.
Well, it wasn't 1 million, to be clear. About 2,000 to 3,000, I believe.
That's a lot of PlayStation. They're idiots. They're not going to get 3,000 PlayStations. Why the hell will you show up in there?
Also, someone in my chat said that he couldn't hand them out. It's not that he didn't have them. He just wasn't able to.
Oh, he didn't have them. I saw it on CNN. He didn't have nothing.
I don't know the facts of this, so I can't say either way. I can't say either way whether he had them or not. But
he didn't have anything. He came by himself, first of all, with 2 people. If he meant anything, he would came with a truck. You know, at least if he's going to give away. And 3,000 people to show up for PlayStation. I mean, what's the odds of you getting a fucking PlayStation with such a crowd? I don't know how people think.
Listen, people go wild. Remember when, like, Black Friday was like a huge thing, and people would line up outside of Best Buy and fight each other over, like, the fucking TVs and stuff. I don't know whether they still do that today, but I know they used to be really bad.
I did that one time. My wife made me go. That's why you can't listen to your wives. We went out at night, 2 o'clock, and we waited. I went to what is it called? That place. I forgot what the name of that big. We bought like 2 TVs or 3 TVs. We have the house is full of TVs. I don't know why we bought the TVs for.
Who did you have to fight to get the 2 TVs, Omar?
Listen, no, we got the TVs. We have TVs in the house. Then I was looking at the price. It was like $10 difference. It doesn't even. We stayed up late. We went out in the darkness, and then I ended up giving my mother, my sister, and some my nieces giving out. First of all, we didn't save no money. We lost money. And I told her, I'm never going to listen to you again. See, the first time I listened to you...
At least
that's what turned them misogynist, gang. That's
No. The one silver lining in this story is that you gave your mother and your sister a TV. That's very nice of you, Omar.
Yeah, my mother lives with me. I give her to her room. I said, listen, watch... You know, and the whole idea is that there's no money to save, and the people were full. I mean, wow, full. I mean, it was like daylight. The people was full of the place. I forgot the place at the store. My memory is
So
getting
why
shot from all. Huh?
should Walmart or Best Buy, if they have like a
Best
Black
Buy.
Friday sale and there's violence erupts at it, why aren't
No,
we
Best
charging
Buy.
them? Like, why is Kai Cenat? I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Okay,
Yeah.
Kai. Let's call him Kai. If Kai is catching a charge for this,
I want to tell
why
you why.
aren't Walmart, Best Buy, these other companies, corporations that engage in what I would consider deceptive
very,
practices, right?
very easy. I could answer that very easy. First of all, Walmart is a mortar store. It's in one place, and whatever happens is going to happen inside their place. And they have insurance in case somebody gets hurt or dies or anything. They're legally responsible no matter what. But when you bring a crowd of people to a crowded area that you don't own, that you have no purpose to be there, that people are walking all over, people are tourists are coming from all over the country to take pictures, and you're wrong. I mean,
Well,
does he
I think
have
the
a
other
store there? You
I think
understand?
the other thing too, Wick, is that like I think that they do they generally have some line like in there that's basically like um you know stocks like whatever I'm blanking on the line, but basically like this is only until we run out, right?
Oh,
Limited stocks or some shit like that, and that's their way of saying like, hey, by the way, we don't have one TV for each of you. So that's why you get lines. And in
no.
door busters or whatever else. We only have this many door busters. So that's their way of saying like that's their way of being like, okay, well, if you come at like 11 p.m. and the doors opened at 10 p.m., well, you're not gonna get one.
We
Um,
went there at the midnight.
so and
There's
also
nothing to say.
there's also just like more there's just, as weird as this is to say, I've seen some pretty deranged behavior at like malls before, right? But even at that point, like, and I actually people have hurt each other,
Look,
right? But usually it happens in like fucking parking lots and they get arrested, or there's security, there's mall security, like it's just not on the same scale as like Omar said,
yeah.
it's not on the same scale.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna tell you something funny. What I told my wife, my wife is very intelligent, by the way. She's not like some serf running around the house tied up to the freezer. She runs the house. 80% of all our money's on hand. She spent everything. But you know what? She likes to go to the mall, and when we go to the mall out, she takes a long time for nothing. I'm tired. Buy something, and you know what? How I scare her?
Omar,
If there's
that's
a ma-
what.
wait, hold
Omar,
on.
that's what you have. That's why you have like the husband benches outside. That's why
No,
you
no,
gotta
I
go. You
take
gotta
it out.
go
You
chill
know,
out.
I have limited her to one story a day because she comes and tell me dumb stories she sees on TikTok, wherever. But we went to the. She keeps on. Then there was a shooting, right? Remember there was a shooting. I said, listen, America's getting dangerous. Do you want to die? I mean, you see how many shootings? I scared with the shootings. I swear to God, I used it against her Whick.
You scare.
I said,
You
yeah,
limit her to
get,
one story a day. One story a
One.
day, gang.
yeah.
Don't tell my husband this. He'll probably
Because
try to
let
implement
me
it.
Wait, let me tell you what happens. She watched something in Arabic YouTube, right? And in Arabic YouTube was funny. It's like a soap opera with one channel's fighting with the other. And she'll come and tell me about what happened. I don't care what happened. Not only that, she'll play it on our TV, on my TV in my room, and I have to watch it together with her for the next half an hour. I mean, just give me the butter. What
This
happened? What
is the
happened? Did they
world you
fight?
wanted, Omar. This is what you've been
No,
advocating
no, but
for. This is what you're
No, but you
advocating
have to.
for.
Yeah, Omar. This is like
right now,
if this woman is your queen, then you need to treat her like a queen.
I love her very much. She's downstairs right now. All the kids went on vacation for 10 days. It's only
Oh,
me
very
and
nice.
her. She's on the first floor, and I'm on the top, the third floor. We don't, we good. Everybody, relaxing. She gets out one story a day, and we're good, and that's it. Because sometimes they just talk about dumb shit, and then nothing that makes sense. She,
Um.
the
Yeah,
worst
but you
time
gotta.
is when
But
she when
no,
she
but
goes to a wedding. When
here,
she goes to a wedding, she'll come with like 10, 20 stories. I'm like, oh fuck, these weddings gotta stop. Huh?
Omar, this is what you agreed to. You
Yeah, I
agreed
agree,
like this is
but
for better or for
no,
worse. Okay,
but
this is what you got. You just gotta suck it up for your wife. Like this is what you do if you wanna
but I
show her
rather
you
have
love her.
her. I feel
Okay.
so proud of her. I'd rather have her next to me to provide me whatever I need to raise my kids. I love her very much, no matter what. I would give her my kidneys if she asked, one of my kidneys if she asked. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I love her.
What
Because
a loving saccharine sweet.
yeah, but the stories, nah, I don't want to hear that stories. Especially right now, football season's coming in 30 days. I love football. This is when we fight. Sundays, not fight. I mean, when I try to ignore her. Sundays, all day. Monday night football and Thursday night football. She knows there's rules.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Here, Omar. Wait. One more thing. Omar. Okay.
And then we're gonna wrap it up because I have
Yeah.
a
If
few things to
you're gonna go into football season, right, and you're gonna start limiting this, I want you to think about giving her 2 stories a day for the days that don't have football in them.
If we can get in the next 5 minutes here, if we can get a $20 donation, okay, will you commit to letting your wife have another story this week? One more story this week for the week.
One more
story each day.
Okay. You know, I
Do
mean,
that? Okay, excellent, gang.
commit.
You want to help out as Omar's wife, right? Get more story time. Donate to my channel, and we can make this happen. I'll follow up with them. I'll hold them to account, right?
Women are beautiful creatures, but sometimes they just give you a story out of nowhere. She'll come, you know that lady?
Like
of course, I don't know the
co-hosts.
ladies. We don't intermix with ladies as a Muslim community. Do you know that lady? I said, what lady? Oh, her husband's name is that? Oh, I said, okay, what happened? Somebody died? No. Somebody got hit by, what happened? She's like, well, she wanted to get her son married, and they had disagreement about how much dowry they should pay. And all that. I said, why are you telling me this? I don't care what happened. Tell me something else. Do I really care about that lady or her husband?
This is taking me back to my Saudi days. I gotta say.
They got, especially Arab women. She watched all the Egyptian soap opera, all the Turkish, and she come and tell me how the the wife was betrayed. You know, I said, don't listen to that. They're trying to play with your head. Don't you ever watch that again. You understand?
Okay, gang.
I'm trying to get you a donation. You have another show after this?
No. After that, I have family things to take care of. Unfortunately.
Okay, I'm sorry,
but no, it's fine. But let me just say today was an interesting enough show. Tomorrow we are going. So first of all, thank you, Icebeans, for coming. Really appreciate
absolutely.
You. Thanks for putting up with us and our
no hard feelings, huh?
So I do appreciate it. Omar, once again, thank you for price matching and thank you for being here today. Very kind of you. And third of all, okay, what do we got coming up, gang? So tomorrow, we have 2 more shows this week. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Izzy, we're going to have Rico Rants, we're going to have Prime Kai, we're going to have Darius, we're going to have Majin, and we're going to have, there's one more in there. Oh, that one guy. And we're going to be talking about racial relations in America. We're going to be talking about which is a better way forward, racial awareness or colorblindness. And I have put together an all-black everything. All these individuals are black, and they will be talking about this issue with me. It should be fun. Tune in 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on this channel, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, Kick, wherever, and watch us. It should be fun and interesting. Then Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a slur debate. What should we be allowing slurs? Should people be able to say it without repercussions? And should people say it to reclaim them, right? To take away their power? That's a good question. We're going to have Doobie and Zonia on one side and 𝕵𝖎𝖙 on the other. And we're trying to get 𝕾𝖎 on this one. 𝕾𝖎 has expressed interest.
Oh,
he hasn't committed, but I would like to have him on the other side.
𝕾𝖎 is a good guy.
Anyway, for now, we're going to rate out. Are you going to stream after this, Icebeans, or are you done?
I am. No, I am going to be streaming.
All right, let me say something. Icebeans, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I don't see you any lower than me in any way. This is my thinking. I can't change it, but I do have much respect for you. And thank you for coming, okay?
I do appreciate it, and I do hope that I did really enjoy talking to you. I do hope that you'll consider giving your wife at least one more story this week.
Okay, I'll give her a story. I mean, this doesn't make no sense. Go ahead, okay, we go. She's on the phone all day with other women. There's like 50 Arab women online on WhatsApp, you know, all
For
day.
now. Kings, queens, and emperors.
Eh,
See you guys
All right,
tomorrow.
Thank you
power
so
to the
much,
power, power to the men, power to the insult community. I am your leader here on Whick channel. Okay, I am who represent you, and I will take you to the promised land.
Void
Good.
him, Whick.
Okay.
No, quick.
Avoided us all. We're rating out to Icebeans. There you go. I gotta
right.
go. Thanks again for the content, gang.
Yeah,
And I will
absolutely.
see you guys tomorrow. Bye.